Was whiskey better back in the day? In this video, we're gonna find out if dusty old whiskey is better than their modern day equivalents. So what we have here are a few dusties that have been found at small town liquor stores, right? Those bottles that have just been sitting there for 20 or 30 or 40 years collecting dust. So somebody has saved these, and we've got a couple of estate sale finds over here where somebody bought it, kept it under their cabinet, never opened it up. We're gonna try those. We're gonna blind them versus their modern day equivalents. We've got 5 of them here. 3 out of 5 wins. We're gonna figure out if dusties are indeed better. We are gonna start with Old Forester 86 proof. Now this was a brand new unopened bottle when we started. We had a little mishap with the Old Foresters and poured them and couldn't figure out which one was which. Don't worry, it's not that this bottle's been open oxidizing. This is a brand new, freshly opened bottle, and I bought this one just a few weeks ago. So I think this bottle right here is an early 2000s Old Forester bottle. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know when they were using that variant of their logo. I'm gonna have these blinded. We'll check them out. All right, we're gonna start with the nose on these. I mean, that one smells like an Old Forester product. Oh, this one's much lighter, much nicer. Oh, see, that's exactly what I expect from an Old Forester. It tastes nice. And 86 proof Old Forester is nice. It's not what I'm expecting. Like, I want a little more punch in the face with these, right? I want a little more proof with them. So 86 proof, nice product, but I don't get the robustness that I'm usually looking for when I'm drinking a whiskey neat. Overall though, it's giving me that Old Forester flavor I'm looking for. A little bit of harshness on the finish, I guess I should say. Maybe a little bit of oakiness there that's kind of turned harsh. This one is exactly what I'm looking for. So it has all of the kind of spicy sweetness you get on an Old Forester is there and a little more intense than you get on this one. Like this one seems like it's a little more muted and tame. This one is a little more intense and interesting. It doesn't have the harshness on the finish. Like this is not a close contest to me. Like they're both good whiskeys. The red one is hands down the winner. This one promises some things and then it doesn't deliver. It's just kind of meh. This one on the other hand, oh, it smells delicious. Not even close, hands down. The red one here is the winner. Is it vintage or is it the new stuff? Vintage. The red one is the vintage. Old Forester 86 proof from the, that sets some expectations. Honestly, that's exciting because I really want to try. I've never had anything distilled by Stitzel-Weller. I'm super excited about those. If the Stitzel-Weller distilled stuff is that much better than the new school stuff, it's going to be incredible. So this sets a very lofty expectation because this is a bottle I recommend. This is a good bottle of whiskey. If you're just getting into whiskey, you want to try, and it's good. It's good. The harshness is starting to go away the more I have. Well, still a little bit there. Oh, but that is just so much better. Oh my goodness. Oh, is it time for an ad read already? Lord have mercy. Thought I had a little more time here to wash my face before we had to do this ad read, but I guess this is a good time to introduce you to our new partner, Geologie. Now I know what you're thinking. What does the world's worst bartender know about skincare? Well, with all of the traveling and bourbon hunting we do, it can get a little stressful, and sometimes stress leads to breakouts. Like you can see a nasty little bump right there. Luckily, the beard covers most of it, but it can't cover it all. And when you got a money maker like this mug right here, you gotta make sure you keep it clean, clear, and refreshed. And Geologie creates simple and effective hair care and skincare routines customized just for me with ingredients that are proven to work. Their products use just a few powerful and proven techniques that dermatologists have trusted for decades. But you don't need to take my word for it. Geologie is a 29-time award-winning company that's been recognized by Men's Health, Esquire, and even Oprah. They sent me a full line of products that make me look and feel fresh as a daisy every freaking morning. Hopefully, with a regular regimen of Geologie products, my CPAP lines won't make me look so freaking old. So whether you're breaking out or you just need a little TLC, us men need good skincare routines too. Right now, for a limited time, they're hooking us up with an insane offer. Use code Brewzle70 at checkout or scan the QR code and they're giving the B team an insane 70% off their award-winning skincare trial set. On top of that, you can get up to 50% off the add-on products of your choice when you add them to your trial order. And this is one of the best offers I've seen from any of our partners, so be sure to get it before it's gone. Now I need to go finish washing my face before we film a few things, so let's get you back to that video. And the next one, Old Forester Bonded. Let's just get all these Old Foresters out of the freaking way. This bottle right here, I think is from the 90s. Again, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, could be 80s. I think that's a 90s Old Forester Bonded. I went with the Old Forester 1897 bottle and bond with this one. I considered going with just 100 proof or 100 proof single barrel, but I already had this one that I bought. It says bonded, it's a bonded Old Forester, that's a bonded Old Forester. It seems like a fair comparison, but if you think I should have used a different Old Forester in this blind, let me know in the comments right now. So we're gonna have these blinded. We're gonna check them out. So we are 1-0 Dusties, and it was not close. It was an absolute slaughter on the Old Forester 86 proofs, but now we're stepping up to the bonded. We're gonna see what we get. The nose on this one is considerably better. That one's just more muted. You get a little more like tea, tobacco, more oak than I expect. And it's probably because I started with the 86 proofs, right? Like not a ton of oak on those. We go to the bonded, maybe they're a little older. Definitely the proof's a little higher on these. It's a good bottle of whiskey, but there is a little like almost oxidized flavor to it. There's a little bit of like that harsh oakiness. Not much, it's not a ton, but there is a little. So the nose, much better. The pour's good. A little bit of stuff there I don't love about it. This one, the nose just kind of smells muted, and the flavors are muted. This is a very different experience between these two whiskeys, and now because it's such a different experience, I have to put some thought into which experience I like better. If you would have handed me these two, there's no way I would have said these are the same whiskey. And I don't know much about this 1897. I don't know if that's done differently than some other Old Forester products, if they do some weird process, and this wasn't a fair comparison. If you don't like this comparison, if you think I should have used a different 100 proof Old Forester, let me know in the comments right now, because these are very different. So I am choosing D. Is D the vintage or is that the new? Vintage. We are 2-0 for vintage. This was close though. The first one was an absolute slaughter. I could see how somebody might prefer, and honestly, I might prefer this one on a different day, because that's a good whiskey. So 2-0, could this be a rout? This might be a blowout. This might be like the NBA Finals, Chicago Bulls just sweep in 4 games. We're gonna find out. All you have to have are 3 wins to win this whole thing. They're up 2-0. One more. This rests on the old granddad to see if they win the series. But I mean, we're gonna play it out obviously, because I gotta drink those Stitzel-Wellers. So the next ones are Old Granddad Bonded. A lot of people love the Old Granddad 114. I think it's a fantastic, cheap bottle of whiskey, really good mixer. We make a lot of old fashions with it here. It took me a while to find an Old Granddad Bonded. They don't sell them in the state of Alabama as far as I know. I found this one in Florida, and that was kind of hard to come by. Now, Matt Sears hooked us up with this Old Granddad, as well as one of those Old Foresters. Matt over at Maple Party Shop hooked us up with the other Old Forester. So we appreciate y'all's support. We would not be able to find such cool whiskey without y'all. Again, I found this Old Granddad in Florida. It took a while. I don't think it's sold in the state of Alabama. I was down there, I found it in a shop. I paid too much for it, I will admit, but it is a full liter. This one, I have no idea when this one is from. I assume that's an Old Granddad from the 90s. Could be early 2000s, but I think this was found when some liquor store shut down. Let's give it a try, let's blind it. Let's see what it's like. All right, OGD Bonded. That one smells nice. That one not as much. A little brighter, a little more oakiness, a little more tea. Oh, that's a nice bottle right there. Man, I don't think Old Granddad gets the respect it deserves, to be honest with you. I mean, it's not a high-end bottle by any stretch of the imagination. There's not a ton going on there, but what is going on E is delicious. All of the flavors are nice and crisp and bright. A lot of caramel, a little bit of maybe a rye spiciness there. A little more muted. and the flavors follow through. This is not a close contest. This is E in a landslide. Like, I don't even have to go back. E wins, hands down. E, vintage or modern? Vintage E. Like, other than, I think, what was the Old Forester bonded, maybe a little bit, but 2 out of the 3 have been an absolute and complete and total demolition. That is a beautiful whiskey. That is not a cheap bottom shelf whiskey these days. This one has interesting, like, sweet and spicy notes going on, all sorts of weird things happening. And so this one has some complexity. This is good, but it's all just one note. It's all just kind of a little bit of caramel, tea, tobacco, oakiness. Whereas this actually has some complexity to it. Like, that's a great whiskey. This is a good whiskey. The next one, Old Fitzgerald Prime. Now, this guy here, I believe is from the 1960s. It was 86 point something or another proof. This one's going to be 80 proof Old Fitz Prime from the modern day. I'm so excited about this. Let's get them blinded. Let's check them out. We definitely have a color difference here. This guy has a 7-year age statement. I'm pretty sure this has no age statement on it whatsoever. There's not a close comparison here in color. This is obviously lighter and younger than F. We should have used the colored lens, but who knew? Oh my God, that smells so good. Lord have mercy. That might be the best 90-something proof whiskey I've ever had in my entire life. Oh my God, that is so good. Like, it's fruit, it's graham cracker. This just smells like a, it's like an oaky whiskey. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. It's fine, it's okay. It's like, it's a thing. That's a bottle. I'll drink it, it's cool. This, on the other hand, this is like Mike Tyson fighting one of my children. F is by far the clear winner. And if F is not the vintage whiskey, I'm gonna quit YouTube. F is the new. You're kidding. Good Lord. Oh my God. I almost had a heart attack, Jill. What are you? So this will get poured out. We're just gonna put this in the sink. That's what's gonna happen. We've got a bunch of whiskey. I'm holding on to that. Like, I've gotta savor every sip of that. And then I've gotta figure out how to seal this up to enjoy the rest of this. And how do I go find more of this old Fitz Prime? Oh, I'm so excited for this next one. Let's see what we get here. We've got a Rebel Yell right here. Now, this is a Rebel Yell 100. This is a Rebel Yell, the Deep South. It's a 90 proof. So we give this one every advantage in the world. I didn't have a Rebel Yell 90 proof. I didn't want to buy a Rebel Yell 90 proof. I don't even know if they have a Rebel. I think they do have I think they're Rebel now, not Rebel Yell, because apparently Rebel's okay, but if you're Rebel Yell, that's a problem. We're gonna give it every advantage in the world. It's down 4-0. We're gonna try to give this the advantage to see if it can beat this old Rebel Yell 90 proof that was distilled at the Stitzelweller Distillery. If this is as good as I think it's going to be, what were you people do? Why did you let the Stitzelweller Distillery not succeed? Like, why did they not keep making whiskey? Why did they have to, like, close their doors and have their whiskey made at Buffalo Trace? This is now made at Lux Row. Why? Why did we let Stitzelweller fail if it's this freaking good? What were you people doing back in the 70s, 80s, 90s? I don't know. Let's find out though. So this is the one I've been most excited about, both from like a story standpoint, right? Like the doctor that delivered you as a child probably would have told you you should stop drinking whiskey, and he had whiskey in his cabinet. He stopped drinking. So great story, but also Stitzelweller wheated bourbon. Hard to beat that. That one actually has a little nuttiness. It's interesting, but not super. We're gonna have a sweep. I'm just telling you, we're gonna have a freaking sweep. It's good. It's got oakiness. It's got a little caramel flavor. It's sweet. It's nice. It'll get you drunk if that's what you're into. This one, God almighty knows, what is that smell? The depth of the flavors on that aroma are out of this world. I need somebody that's better at tasting whiskey than I am to describe to y'all what that is. Because I would call it molasses, but it's not that. Like, it's more like cherry molasses. It is just crazy. The flavor is not as good as the nose. It's not as good as, it's still good. It's much better than that though. Green by far. Like, green is different. So this is good, but this is, honestly, this is like cheap whiskey good. It's kind of like the old granddad. This is one note, good whiskey. I get this, I'm happy, I'm okay with it, it's fine. I probably mix it. I'll probably make an old fashioned with it. I'll do all sorts of things. It's good whiskey. This, even at like a lower proof, I'm assuming, I'm making some assumptions, but that has so much more complexity. There's some medicinal cherry, there's some caramel. Green has to be vintage. If green is, like, this has been a complete and total obliteration. This makes me sad. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's just, I like whiskey. And I've just really started to get into bourbon over the last few years, which has led to this channel. It's led to this video that we've put out. But Lord have mercy, did people before me have it so much better. Like, people who were just buying good, cheap, wheated bourbon have it so much better than stuff we can buy today. That is better than a lot of expensive whiskey we could buy right now. We are 5 for 5, right? Like, it is 5 for 5 vintage versus, and this one was at the most disadvantage, 100 proof versus 90 proof wheated bourbon. It is not close. So if you have not had vintage whiskey, I highly suggest you maybe seek out some. This is much closer to like some limited high-end releases that we can find these days, like much more so than this. This is just good, cheap whiskey. This is, you would have to pay hundreds of dollars. This bottle right now, if this bottle were released today, if somebody put this bottle into the market right now, if this was Rebel Yell 100 put out today, but it was this whiskey, you'd be paying $1,000 for that bottle. I was hoping for modern whiskey, I really was. Like, I was hoping modern whiskey would have a chance. I was hoping we would have some, hey, we're good, whiskey's good these days, but it's not. Like, it's not compared to the old stuff. Get some old stuff. Apparently whiskey was indeed better back in the day. Stuff you could just find on the shelf everywhere was equivalent to some limited release, highly allocated, hard to find, super expensive stuff that you could get today. So maybe, just maybe, we should be buying vintage whiskey instead. Y'all let me know in the comments, what do you think? Have you had any vintage whiskey? Is it better than the modern equivalent? I think we've shown today, for me, like, everybody's taste different. For me, every single vintage whiskey we've had with the same label or similar label to what's coming out today has been, it's not a competition. I think there was one that was close. 4 out of 5, complete and total obliteration. So catch y'all next time.